When we talk about concentration camps, we usually hear numbers. Thousands, tens of thousands. But behind every number, there's a life. Sometimes an entire family. One of those families ended up in this camp. This is them, Maria Ryankova and her 3 children. For 2 of them, this was their first and last photograph. March 19, 1944. Behind them, you can see a column of women with children. They're leaving a German concentration camp with an almost ironic name, Ozarichi. The little girl in her mother's arms, Fenya. She would die 4 days later. 4-year-old Anya would die 10 days later, on March 29th. Only one child survived, 6-year-old Ivan, the boy on the left. Here's another photo. It was taken 4 days earlier. When Soviet soldiers began evacuating survivors, one woman was mistaken for dead, but her daughter, little Vera, picked up a shard of glass and held it to her mother's lips. The glass fogged up. That meant she was still breathing. She was alive. Her mother was saved. She got lucky. Not everyone did. And this is Vera. She already knows she's going to be rescued. This photo of her, taken in 1944 during the liberation, would later become known all over the world. These people were not soldiers. They were not criminals. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. At first, it looked like relocation. People were gathered, loaded up, transported here, to the Ozarichi camp, in what is now Belarus. They were told it was temporary, but very quickly it became clear there was no way back. And then it gets worse. This wasn't random. There was a plan. The Germans wanted to create a human shield, not from soldiers, from women and children. Along the front line, they built a chain of camps, dozens of kilometers long. People were brought in from nearby villages and towns, civilians. According to documents, there were around 50,000 people in these camps. About 30,000 of them were children. But that still wasn't the worst part. There was a second phase, even more disturbing. People were deliberately infected with typhus. The logic was cold and calculated. When the Soviet army liberated the camps, the soldiers would try to help the prisoners. And in doing so, they would get infected. And then, an epidemic, one that could stop the advance, maybe completely. This was not just cruelty. This was calculation. The territory was surrounded by barbed wire, mines along the perimeter, swamps everywhere. Almost no trees, no clean water, no real food, almost no dry ground. Just 50,000 women and children. The rules were simple. Start a fire, you get shot. Try to beg for mercy, you get shot. Try to escape, you get shot. They weren't killed immediately. They were kept in a state where they could still live, but no longer survive. Food was thrown over the barbed wire. Bread made from sawdust and flour, not even enough for everyone. And then it begins. March 1944. Cold. Snow falling, then melting. -3 at night, just above 0 during the day. Tens of thousands of women and children trying to find water, food, anything to stay warm. But there was nothing. No clean water, only swamp water. They drank it, and almost immediately. Vomiting, diarrhea. No real food, just scraps of that sawdust bread. No way to get warm. Within a day, the camp turns into mud. Water mixes with disease, and that's when the epidemic starts. 50,000 people. Almost all of them sick. Children crying constantly. Mothers screaming, unable to help. The disease spreads instantly. No medicine, no help. And then death arrives. The plan begins to work. Most are already infected. Mass death begins. Hundreds die, then thousands. And no one can help them. Burials are forbidden. Removing bodies, forbidden. Everything happens right there, behind the barbed wire. In 9 days, around 20,000 people died in Ozarichi. Women, elderly, children. That's 2, sometimes 3,000 deaths a day, in front of each other. Soviet intelligence reports what's happening. The information reaches the command of the 65th Army. A decision is made immediately. An ultimatum is sent to the German command. The condition is simple. Leave the Ozarichi camp and withdraw the troops. In return, safe retreat. The document is signed by Chief of Staff Major General Bobkov. On March 18, 1944, the ultimatum is delivered. During the night of March 19th, German forces pull back, and the next morning, the first Soviet soldiers enter the camp. And what they see is not a camp, a vast swamp surrounded by barbed wire. No barracks, no shelters, just people, the living, next to the dead. On the few dry patches, barely alive children, crying next to the bodies of their mothers and grandmothers. Many of the survivors no longer expect to live. They envy the dead. Rescue begins immediately. People are carried out, transported, sent to hospitals. And that's when the photographs are taken, the ones that would later spread across the world. These photographs survived as proof of what happened here. But most of the people who ended up in Ozarichi remained nameless. No graves, no real chance to survive. And maybe the most terrifying part of this story is that all of it was planned, cold, precise, designed to kill, without firing a shot.